Good morning, wherever you are in the world. I'm very happy that you're here, and welcome to today's Cichlids and Coffee. I hope wherever you are, you're having a cup of Joe, whatever your favorite beverage is. Today, I am having Pete's Organic Dark Roast, and pretty strong coffee. A bit of a religious experience for coffee lovers. So let's. I see you've had a very lively conversation prior to the start here. Unfortunately, some of you lost some fish. I hate to hear about that. And one of those realities in the hobby. And I saw that coming through on the comments. Sound and video are good. Thank you, Denny, for that. As you know, it's always a mystery until somebody tells me. You just kind of hope for the best, right? So I have a great topic today. I have five ways to kind of upgrade, supercharge, tweak, pimp, however, whatever you want to say. 5 things you can do to your tank, as well as 3 additional bonus tips. You know me; I always have a few extra bonus tips that I throw in there. I can't help myself. So let's go ahead and get underway here. Well, you know what I'm going to say. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that sub and hit that notification bell. And if you like the content, hit that thumbs up. This tells YouTube that you like the channel and encourages YouTube to tell others to recommend the channel to other fish keepers like us, and it's very appreciated. Also, a quick shout out to the channel sponsor, the Cichlid Shack. The Cichlid Shack. Once you go shack, you never go back, according to the logo there. Be sure to use Shack Attack 10 for 10% on food, fish, whatever he's carrying in stock, including Extreme, which is a great fish food. You can buy Extreme. You'll get 10% off using Shack Attack 10. So just keep that in mind. And thank you to James Largo over at the Shack Attack, over at the Cichlid Shack. So 5 favorite aquarium upgrades. Let's get into this. First, a couple quick announcements that I have to do. Let's take this down for just 1 second here. Remember last week I said send me pictures of your fish and email them to me to the ben.o.cichlid@gmail. And a good number of you did, and we looked at them. And a winner was picked, and so I'm very happy to announce that Gerald Martin, your I think that's a Tapajos, right? Geophagus, is that a Geophagus Tapajos? Beautiful fish, and that was the choice. We had a lot of beautiful fish were sent in, but that Tapajos ended up being the winner. And so, Jerry, you've probably gotten this before, maybe, but I'm going to send you over some of these, right? The new logo, the Cichlids and Coffee stuff, and we'll get all these over to you. And so some stickers, and I'm going to send you the best towel in aquarium key, the Aquarium Co-op towel that actually absorbs. You know, I hate when I'm cleaning the front of my tank and I clean and clean, it just looks more and more wet and streaked. So Aquarium Co-op towel and stickers. Jerry, I think you've sent me your address. Send it to me again, please. ben.o.cichlid. And very nice Geophagus. And I love the way the your little loach, your little clown there was photo bombing there. Very, very nice. So congratulations to you on that, Jerry. And Thank you to everybody on the recent going over 37,000 subs. Thank you to all of you for your help and support. Awesome. We're approaching 7 million total views, and that's because of you and your support. I appreciate that to all of you. So just a very quick shout out on that. And also don't forget, I'm going to be at Aquashella in Orlando, and I'm going to be over at the, let me see, I have something that was done up by Jay Wilson, real nice little promo piece. I'm going to be at the Cichlids, and I'm going to have Jay's going to coach me on how to say this correctly, but for right now, I'll say Cichlids, Cichlids booth at Aquashella, 2 o'clock on the 12th. That's Saturday at 2 p.m. That's, of course, Florida time, Eastern time. I will be at the Cichlids booth and there to meet you. And the first 5 are going to get a real nice T-shirt from Jay. And I'm trying to line up some stuff that I can give you as well. So we'll see how that goes. So I hope to see you at Aquashella. I'm going to try and make Dallas as well, if I can. I'm going to try and go to Dallas. I have a lot of friends in Texas, and of course I love Texas, so I'm going to try and get there as well. But that's a little ways off. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into the topic. And thank you so much. Looks like somebody snuck in a super chat. A super chat is a way for you to support the channel, and going to save me money with this chat, so I'll get in first with a super chat. Thank you, Emma. That's appreciated. And by the way, you know what? I gave away the towel and stickers just to kind of double up on it. Today's biggest super chat. Today's biggest super chat. I will go ahead and give you a towel and stickers as well, just to sort of double up on the fun. So if you have the top super chat, you will get a towel and stickers. Just be sure to email me that you were the top super chat at theben.o.cichlid, and I will go ahead and get that to you if you are today's biggest super chat. Hey, shout out to my moderators. I think GP, Gurvinder, and Denny are both here. Very, very good. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into this topic. And by the way, I have a topic tomorrow that's going to be tying into it. It's going to be go cheap or go expensive. That's tomorrow's video. It posts at 8 a.m. Central Time. Go cheap or go expensive. And this is a conversation that goes on back and forth in the community. Do I buy the absolute best? Do I pay a fortune? Can I get the same result with something inexpensive? And I've got some fun conclusions. That's tomorrow, Sunday the 30th, and that posts at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Be sure to catch that. So let's talk about some ways to get your, assuming I haven't missed anything. I keep a list, just to make sure I get everything across that I want to. And but here's some ways that I think that you can actually upgrade an aquarium, and some of these have to do I'm trying to stutter. Some of them have to do with performance, and some of them have to do with aesthetics. And the first one is aesthetics, and that one is putting some type of a backing. And nobody really likes the look of a lot of wires and hoses and things like that as the background of your tank. And so it's very recommended to put something back there that makes the back of your tank the back of the tank. Like you see here, this is a black, just a straight black background that I have on all my tanks. And what that is this material that I've talked about in prior videos. It's called Velamax. And it's a very simple material. You simply roll it out. You cut it to the shape and size you need, usually about an inch larger all around, and then you trim it with a razor blade. It attaches. There's no adhesives. There's no sticky glues and stuff to deal with. You simply make sure the back of your tank is very clean. You spray the back of the tank with just plain water. You separate the Velamax from the, it has a clear backing there. You separate the black from the clear backing. And then you spray the Velamax and you simply put it on the tank. It's really that simple. Then you need to just squeegee out. You squeegee out the excess water that is between the tank, that is between the tank and the material. And you do that with a little squeegee. They provide you, the Velamax usually comes with a squeegee, but the truth is you can use a credit card. You can use just a credit card and get all the water out, and you end up with this matte black like you see here behind me. Check it out. That's just a plain matte black, and you can't see because of the angle of the camera, and the lighting and stuff doesn't quite do it justice. Maybe with the African cichlid tank right here. That's just a straight matte black Velamax backing. Now, if I get tired of that, I can just simply peel it right off, give the back of the tank a spray, clean it up, and apply a different color. I can go dark blue, I can go gray, I can go so many different ways to do it. So all right, I'm making you seasick going back and forth though. All right, so a backing. Put a backing on your tank. It doesn't have to be Velamax. Velamax is just my backing of choice, which, by the way, I do have anything that I cover with you today. Most things I cover with you today, because some of them I just can't. I can't do it because it's not available. But a lot of them are at the Amazon.com, which is a great way to support the channel. If you want to support the channel, either with super chats or, I mean, just being here supports the channel. But if you go to Amazon, if you use that link to get to Amazon and then you shop around, either in my shop or in Amazon in general, it helps the channel, and with a small percentage. The Velamax and other products I'm covering today, almost all of them are at my Amazon store. By going to my store, you don't pay anything extra. It's the same price and that you would get on Amazon. Also, you can go to my store. I also have a Teespring. I think they call it Spring now, where you can get T-shirts and things like this, mugs. I have a bunch of shirts now that say it's a fluid situation, just kind of a new theme I've come up with. But anyway, just ways to support the channel, and it's at the Amazon store. So Velamax or any kind of a backing, don't let hoses and electrical cords and things like that be your background. Put something back there. The second one, this is a great upgrade, and this is more of a this helps for a variety of reasons. It helps with the circulation of water. It helps with the breaking up of the surface for oxygen. It helps with the even distribution of temperature. So you have a nice, smooth, even temperature because water is being circulated. You don't have like a hot spot and a colder spot. And that, of course, for those of you that have guessed, is a Powerhead. And you can get expensive. This Powerhead is not really the most expensive, but it's comes in at about $50. It was sent to me by Savnar, Svanur. Savnar has a very powerful magnet that they have to separate out with. They have a magnet here that is incredibly strong. That's what holds it to the wall. And look at this thing. This thing's like an airplane prop. My only concern with this, and maybe in the box, there's something I missed. Maybe. My only concern with this Powerhead is that if a small fish, which maybe you wouldn't have a Powerhead this big or this strong in a tank with very small fish, but a Powerhead like this, a fish could actually get in there and just be kind of chilling and then be turned into guacamole if this thing were to fire up, because It's a very powerful power head. Comes in at about, I think about $50 to $60. And again, it's SVANUR, and a new company out of like so many companies, right? Out of China. And it comes, check this out. It comes with this control. So you can control the different speeds. You can go, you can go really hard. I mean, I think up to almost over 1,000 gallons per hour. You can also do it on a timer, so it's on and off right from this control. You can also stall, like pause it for feeding. So that's why you're paying a little bit more, because you get these kind of fancy things. Now, you don't have to go fancy. You can just go ahead and get onto eBay or onto that Amazon store of mine and get something like this. A little suction cup SunSun. Look at this thing. Kind of cute, actually. $10. $10. Point it towards the top. You'll get some surface breakup. Put it near the middle of your tank or down low, and put it on the opposite end of your filter intake. It'll move detritus towards your filter. If you folks remember the black sand aquarium I had in California with the African cichlids, the concern I had about black sand is that it shows every little piece of detritus, right? But what I did is I set up a combination of power heads, and in that tank, I was using SunSun power heads, very inexpensive power heads. And boy, it swept that sand. And the only time you'd ever see anything on the bottom was usually if the FX6 that I was running on that tank was getting a little bit clogged up, and it was time to clean. That's when I would see a little bit of detritus. So between the outputs of the FX6, one small power head on one side of the tank and a bigger power head on the other side, I had enough circulation that waste and detritus never really settled on the smooth black substrate. Now, if you have gravel, if you have coarse gravel, that's not necessarily going to work as well, because the waste, the poop and everything else is going to get caught in the gravel. And I was running some very strong power heads in that 150-gallon tank that I had with crushed coral and shells. And every time I vacuumed, I had a lot of waste come up in the vacuuming. And that was because the shells, it was the pressure of the power heads was just trapping the detritus in the substrate, in that case, in the crushed coral. So, but if you have sand, and I had a video that I put out a while back, never vacuum again, which is a bit of clickbait, but you still should vacuum from time to time. But the video talked about using power heads as a way of moving waste towards the intakes of your filters, and it really helps you to get the most out of your filters. Now, that being said, these and by the way, just to correct myself, because I always make this mistake, this is a wave maker. This is a wave maker. If it was just a tube blowing out air, blowing out, right, just blowing water, just blowing out water pressure, that would be a power head. That's a power head. This is a wave maker, and there is a difference. And somebody corrected me on that a while back, and I appreciate that. So the next point number 3, that I think would be a great upgrade to anyone who has a tank if you don't have this already. Some of you that are watching are very experienced. You've been around for quite a while. You know your way around tanks and fish, and but for a lot of you, this might be brand new. Consider adding a controller that you plug your heater into, and then the controller is what you plug into the wall. And you can go real expensive. There's controllers out there that are $100 or more, right? $100 or more. But you can pick up something like this. This is an Inkbird. This is an Inkbird controller. And a lot of you are familiar with these. And these Inkbirds, try and get the Inkbird that has the black, see the black sensor? That black sensor is what you use for aquariums. They have ones for a whole variety of uses. They have some that'll heat and like they'll start a heating or a cooling function. They have different kinds, but the kind with the black sensor that's specific for aquariums, that's what you want. And you plug your heater into this. This can work with 2 heaters. You plug your heaters into it, and what it does is it cuts the power off when you reach the desired temperature. And that way your heater can't get stuck and cook your fish. So a controller is number 3 on the list. I feel that it's a great investment, just a great way to safeguard your fish. Now the next item is cut to fit sponges. I go on eBay or Amazon and I buy packets of, they come in like 15 by 15 or 17 by 17 sheets, and they come in what is called egg crate. And this is egg crate. See the way it kind of dips in on it? It gives you more surface area because you have egg crate. So the water flows this way in the filter. The water is flowing. You got to make sure you position it correctly. The water flows this way so that you have this extra surface area of egg crates. They come in big sheets. You can cut them in a circular, like for a canister. You can cut them square for your hang-on backs, and they just last forever. You put a coarse, and then a medium, and then a fine. Coarse, medium, then fine. And if you have a SunSun, it would be like this, with the egg crate facing down, because the water goes up back to the tank in a SunSun. So your egg crates would be facing down. Water goes this way. You'd put your coarse, your medium, your fine. And whereas if you had a Fluval, you would go the other way because water comes down the center of the Fluval, goes down the center. So your egg crate would be facing up. And again, you could put coarse, medium, and fine. Now, if you want to extra polish, you can get this pinky floss, a little piece of used pinky floss. And again, the water goes through the coarser white, hits the white first, right? And then goes through the finer pink to polish the water and really move the fine particles. Our friends over at the Aquarium Co-op, who helped me out a lot, the Aquarium Co-op also sells these sheets, and I love these sheets. I love these because they're rigid. These are just filter sheets, and they're just rigid, and you cut them, and in my case, I cut them to fit the Marineland hang-on back filters, and then I just drop them down like a slot, and they just hold, they just stand up, they just stand there, and they do a great job. And then when you're done, you can either rinse them or you can toss them. I mean, they're not super expensive, so definitely consider sponges that you cut. They're less expensive because you're doing the labor of cutting them, right? And I just use the actual trays of the, I use the tray, I pull the tray out and I use that as my template, right? And then the part, like for example, in a SunSun, you have a tube that runs, right? The down tube that runs through the baskets. I just poke a hole with a scissor, and then that just gets pushed down around that tube, so it's nice and snug. If you cut the sponges too small and there's room on the outside or around that tube or something, the water will go around the sponge, and you're going to be losing a lot of the benefits. So definitely cut them maybe an eighth to a quarter inch bigger than they need to be, and that way they're nice and snug. and you'll get years and years of use out of those sponges. So cut to fit sponges. Point number 5, and I've talked about this before, is to consider getting a piece of sponge, either pre-made or you can make one yourself, and make a pre-filter that goes over the intake of your filter. And I did this with my Fluval FX6, and I did it with some SunSun canisters, some 304s I used to have on a 60-gallon that I sold to Kevin Green, who sometimes shows up and moderates here. And basically, this is like a little mini hang-on back filter. And you see this is just a pre-filter. So the pre-filter catches a lot of the gunk, and before it goes into the filter. So it means that you can take more time between servicing the filter, because this is catching a lot of it. Also, when you're feeding, instead of having the food get sucked into the filter, it gets stuck to the sponge, and then the fish come along and nibble it off the sponge. So it saves you a little money on your food, and it goes into the belly of the fish where you want it to go, especially if you're buying expensive food. So now, one thing to consider, when you remove these, sometimes it'll release a little bit of gunk into the aquarium. It clears up real quick. Some people will take a mesh, like a mesh bag, fine mesh bag, and just put it over the sponge and then pull it off. And the fine mesh bag or a plastic bag will catch the junk, so it doesn't go around your aquarium. Have you ever restarted a filter, like a canister filter, and had it spit a bunch of junk into your tank? That's because your hoses probably have some junk that's caked up on them. And what you do is you just put a net, the same kind of net you use to catch your fish. Just put that over the output before, and then fire up the filter, and that'll catch most of it, not all of it, but most of it. And then also clean out those hoses. One of the things that people forget is that you can buy long pipe cleaners and just run them down the hose, and then run water through the hose. You'll be shocked how much junk comes out of your filter hose. So, hey, Todd. Thank you, Todd. My pleasure. I appreciate that. And don't forget the biggest super chat today is getting, for those of you that arrived late, is getting a towel, Aquarium Co-op towel, and a set of stickers. If you want them, you can if you have the largest super chat, just send me an email to the ben.o.cichlid@gmail.com. All right, so we got pre-filters. Now, one other thing that I love, and I talk about this a lot, and buy yourself some cheap timers. If you have a very high-end light, they usually come with some type of a timer, something that, a dimmer of some kind, something you can program. If you don't have that, get yourself something like this for just a couple bucks. I mean, you can get a pack of like 3 of them for under $10 at the hardware store. And then what I do, let's say I have 3 or 4 aquariums. I plug them into an extension cord, all of them, all the lights into one extension cord. Then the extension cord goes into my timer. Then my timer goes into the wall socket or onto the strip, right? And I run my lights in the morning for a few hours, and then I let the fish chill out in the afternoon with no lights, and then I run the lights again in the evening around feeding time until the time I go to sleep. So this makes a big difference. Have you ever been laying in bed and had to get up because, man, did I forget to turn my tank off? You won't have to worry about that. So get yourself a little cheap, inexpensive timer. That's point number 6. Point number 7. If you don't have this already, consider getting LED full spectrum lights. I love LED lights. They have a very thin profile. They in some cases they're like razor thin. I put a video out called Razor Thin Lights, and the lights on this tank behind me here, I don't think you'll be able to see them. I'm gonna have to make an adjustment. Hold on, let me see if I can adjust this. It's really tight. I'm not gonna be able to really adjust it. But anyway, there's a light on top of that tank behind me that the profile is so thin that you can't really even see the light itself. It's just like a little thin razor thin strip. That's a Hygger light. I think it's Hygger. I think GP, you got it right. It's a Hygger light, full spectrum. And what it does is it's programmable. So it gives me sunrise, and then it works its way to a very bright light, and then gives me a sunset at the end of the day. And I can even show you the cycle. That's sunrise. Then it gradually works its way up, brighter and brighter, then starts getting dim. Then you get into sunset, what they call moonlight. And I like it because it doesn't shock the fish with the light suddenly turning on. Now, the Hygger lights are very, very affordable. You can also pick up beams work. I like the beams work lights a lot. They're very well built, like the Hygger lights. They don't have a plug-in like you have a jack that plugs into the light strip on the side. I hate that. I got that one time from a company called Aquaneat. They make lights, very inexpensive LED lights. Excuse me, but they have the jack is on the light strip, and so it just corroded. Now, in hindsight, you can buy electrical lubricant. They sell electrical lubricant that you can put on the jack, on the little plug-in, and so when you plug it in, it doesn't corrode. So if I had known about that, I would have used the electrical lubricant on it. I didn't. It got all rusty, and one day I pulled it out, and a bunch of the actual plug-in just stayed in there. It just came apart. Anyway, I contacted Aquaneat and I said, hey, listen, I mean, this is not okay, blah, blah, blah. And they pretty much just told me too bad. So what I like is I like lights that are hardwired, where the wiring is actually, it's part of the light unit. And then they can have a plug-in maybe a foot or two away. There can be a jack or a plug-in where you plug into, something else. Now, the beams works, the ones I have are hardwired, and you can buy an adapter for the beams work. So you can have that sunrise, middle of the day, sunset, and then moonlight, and then it turns off. So you can program them, but you're going to pay a lot more money than you will for the Hyggers. So just a couple things to consider. But I love the thin profile of LED. I love the way it makes the colors pop. I like full spectrum myself because I think the sun brings out the best colors, and full spectrum is the closest to the sun. Will it promote algae growth? Yes, it will. However, is algae really a bad thing? Not necessarily. I let algae grow on the back of my tanks and in places that are not on the front panel necessarily, because I love the fact that it produces oxygen, it consumes nitrates, right? It's good stuff. So I think Corey at the Aquarium Co-op just came out with a video on algae being the sign for a lot of experienced fish keepers that a tank is actually cycled. In other words, using algae, the growth of algae, as one of the indicators that you have what he called a seasoned tank that is now able to support life. So algae is not necessarily a bad thing. So LED lights. Now, one more tip, and this is tip number 8. And I promised you 5. I gave you 3 extra. There's no extra charge for the 3 extra ones. The tip number 8 is a lot of people, they write to me and they talk about how they can't get a cloudiness out of their tank. And no matter what they do, no matter how many times they've cleaned it, and it's not a brand new tank. It doesn't have an algae bloom. It's a tank they've had for a year or more, and it always seems to have a little bit of particulates floating. And there are products like Clarity. You can use Clarity, and Seachem, I believe Seachem Clarity will attach to those particles, make them larger so the filter can absorb them and grab them. But I had great results when I first started some tanks back in California with this product right here. This is Purigen, and they call it the bag. And I think one bag is good for a 100-gallon tank. Of course, I always double it, but Purigen, and you can recharge it. I believe you use a bleach, you use a water conditioner, and you recharge it up, anywhere from 6 to 10 times, depending on the shape that the bag is in. You can use it over and over and over again. Unlike products like ChemiPure, blue or green, where you just have to throw them out, like after, I don't know what it is, 3-6 months, I forget, you throw them out and you have to go buy another one. These you can recharge, and I have recharged them numerous times. And what they do is it's a proprietary blend that absorbs anything that's floating around the water. Does a really good job. And I was emailing back and forth with Lizzie over at the co-op, and she was talking about how this is good for tannins. Like when I added these rocks, not the rocks, but that reddish Mopani wood that I picked up. That Mopani wood was releasing tannins for weeks, for 2-3 weeks, despite soaking in really hot water. And she said Purigen is great for tannins. And so, anyway, I've got some activated Seachem Matrix charcoal in there right now that is doing a great job. You don't see any tea color in my tank, do you? It doesn't have any tea color. So the tannins have obviously been spent, or they're being absorbed by the Matrix Seachem carbon that I dropped into the back of the Marineland filter. So this is but this will also work. Your Seachem Purigen. That's your bonus. Hey, Paul. Paul comes in with, I think that's 25 pounds? Is that British pounds, Paul? Thank you so much, Paul. Very nice of you. Treat yourself to a fabulous meal. And at I will. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. And don't forget, if you end up being the biggest super chatter, be sure to send me your mailing address, Paul, and I will get you the towel and sticker packet. And thank you so much. That's very appreciated. Very nice of you, actually. Now I've got some tweaking I'm going to do. I love I like the Expert Matic filters, but if you look at the tank, the Expert Matic, that Expert Matic filter back there, I don't know if you can see with the glare, but it's right. It's right. You can see the back corner there, that white cylinder. It's a great filter. It does a great job. I love them. They're easy to clean and work on, but they stand out unfortunately, in this setup, they stand out like a sore thumb. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that out, that Expertmatic, and I'm going to run 2 of these. And here I go again, Mr. Overkill, because they're rated at 80 gallons, up to 80 gallons. And I've already got one on there. So it's a bit of an overkill, but I'm going to run 2 of these on there. I just picked this one up. This is a Marineland BioWheel. I've had a lot of great experience with them. They don't sponsor my channel. They don't send these to me for free. I got this one from PetSmart. They included free shipping, and someone from Grubhub brought it to the house, to the doorstep. And I thought that was kind of amazing, from PetSmart. Anyway, BioWheel Emperor 400. And so I'm going to have 2 of these on the back of the tank. So you probably can't even see the Marineland intake tube in the very back, unless you're here standing in front of the tank. So because it's black, it camouflages very nicely against the background of my tank. So I'm going to have 2 Marinelands on there. I'm going to pull off the Expertmatic. And then I'm considering adding a Powerhead. But I don't think I need something as powerful as this Savner SVA-NUR. I don't think I need something this powerful. Maybe pick up a smaller. I have another Powerhead, I think, from Higer. I might use that one. But so maybe add a Powerhead just to get a little more water circulation in there. Even though the hang-on backs, when they return water to the tank, they break up the surface, so you get a lot of oxygen that way. But I love to have water circulating around, again, for uniform temperature. You take the low oxygen parts of your tank, which are the low parts of your tank, and you move that oxygenated, you move the oxygen from the top to the bottom. So you really have a very nice balanced, between temperature and oxygen, you have everything balanced. And it's suspending the waste, so it gets sucked into the intakes of your filter. Hi, Elijah. Elijah comes in with $9.99. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Ben, for the stickers and towels. Here's some money for your extra spending. Aquashella, it's gonna be so much fun, and you folks are gonna help me apparently help me pay for it. And so let's take a look at what you folks are talking about, and I hope I caught everybody on the super chats. I hope I didn't miss anybody, is I guess what I'm saying. But let's take a look at what you're saying on the chat. And just do one thing here. Let me go ahead and put your chat on there and take a look at it. I'm going to scroll back. It's not going to show on the screen, but I can scroll back and pick up some of your questions. I hear you, Alex. I hear you. Alex is talking about going to Aquashella, but so many travel restrictions. I'm hoping some of those are going to start to lighten up now, but yeah, that's the deal. I'm going back in the chat, going back in time here. Imam Fountain, dipping my toes into African Lake Tanganyika cichlids. Tanganyikans are beautiful. You're going to have a lot of fun with that. Shannon King, I'm thinking of having a tank for angelfish. Do they have any crazy parameters I need to be aware of? I don't think so. They're a type of cichlid, of course, and you probably don't think you need as high as a pH as you would with an African cichlid. Probably a lower pH. But, real quick Google search, and you'll be able to get all the information you need. Usual temperature requirements, 78 or so. As far as I know, they can be aggressive, so you got to watch out for that. And I'll tell you, the koi angels, I'm in love with those angels. They have that orange and black and white. The koi angels, absolutely gorgeous. So I'm not sure what kind you're thinking of getting. Black veil angels, oh my God, those are beautiful. All right, Ricky the Hoyas? Ricky de Hoyas, so glad to catch. Ricky, I'm glad you're here. And let's see here. I guess there was a discussion about fish death. I'll tell you the thing about, hey, Rico Stan and R. Baglio. Hello, friends. The thing about fish death that drives you crazy is when you don't know. You don't know. You know, how many times do I get an email that says my water is perfect and there's no signs on the fish? I don't know. And that's what drives you nuts, the mystery of it. And sometimes without an autopsy, you know, you're not going to know. You're just not going to know. All right. Mary Page Flynn is here. Hey, Mary Page. Looks like some of you were fighting parasites. I mean, I've tried this product. I've only tried it once, in all fairness, and the fish died shortly thereafter, and before I could actually complete treatment. So I think I might have started too late. But the Fritz Paracleanse might be good, and try that. I mean, General Cure or Furon 2. I'm not sure. Maybe Metroplex. A Metroplex mixed with a little bit of Focus. Parasites are just tough. They're just really tough. Naomi H2O really like the Aquatop Powerheads from the co-op, working really well in my planted tank. And I don't think the Aquatops are going to be that expensive. It's not like you're buying the Hydor or the Tons or, you know, the Ecotechs. You can pay $200-300 for a power, you know, like for a wave maker or a power head. I mean, depending on what it is. And I mean, some of these folks need very high tech because they have $5,000 in corals. And so they need water circulating in certain directions, and then it changes directions, and then 2 hours this way, and then that one turns off, and 2 hours that way from. So they need that kind of technology. But for a lot of us, you know, Aquatop, SunSun, you know, Aquarium. I mean, you can go with these commercial brands and you're fine. Let's see here. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them in now. And Todd, I hope I caught that super chat. I think I did. Let's see here. Winston Pratt, Ron at Beantown, make a good medicated. Boy, yeah, if you can get a parasite food or a parasite medication in a food, you're going to be attacking the problem right at the source, and that really is the way to go. And this is why things like your Metroplex with a little bit of Focus, which adds garlic, and then you put it in with some flake food, and it absorbs in the food, then you drop it in the tank. That really gets to the problem. And you can also, you can buy, I know on eBay one time when I was battling a few years ago, I was battling a very bad disease, that colimaris actually, that got into my tank. And I bought what's called gram-negative antibiotic-infused flake food on eBay, and the fish loved it. The fish ate it. And that together with some Fritz antibiotics, like a Maricin, it really kind of helped to stop the, but you have to make sure it's I think it's gram negative. If you're going after particular diseases, you have to make sure you get the right kind of antibiotic. I believe there's a gram negative, a gram positive. I mean, they have different kinds of antibiotics. KG Cichlids in the house. Kevin, good to see you, my friend. Glad you can make it. Kevin actually has the tank that I talked about earlier, where I had the sponge covers over the intakes of the SunSun 304s. And those SunSun 304s would run and run and run. I'd pull the sponge pre-filters off every week, rinse them in tank water, put them back on. And I'd crack open those canisters 3-4 months I'd open them up and they were in really good shape. A couple times I just closed them right back up again because they look great. So the sponge, and that's the main reason I got into pre-filters, was because I hated dealing with having to go through all you have to go through when you service a canister. So I wanted to spread the amount of time out on servicing canisters, and the sponge filter did the job. The pre-filters over the intakes did the job. I was able to spread it out an extra month or two, both with the SunSuns and also with the FX6. I was able to spread it out further with that big sponge I got, again, from the co-op. He sells the large size pre-filter that goes over there. All right. Darren, I wouldn't suggest red tears with an African cichlid community tank. Two reasons. Different water parameters, which they might be able to adapt to, but you've got that issue, and it probably wouldn't end well. I mean, it's a very aggressive fish being put in with a very aggressive fish. I don't know. That's just my gut feel on it. Have I ever tried it? No. So I'm just spitballing. I'm just throwing it out there. I wouldn't do it. Now, that being said, I currently have in a grow out / quarantine tank. Behind this tank, I have a beautiful Jack Dempsey and a redfin borlei. The odd couple, right? An African and a South American. So at any rate, so it might work, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would suggest that you get a couple tanks. Like I have this is technically a South American. That's a South American, and then I have my African cichlid tank. And they're all hiding in the corner right now because of the spotlights that I'm using. So, Angelo Mealy, I haven't cleaned my sponge filters since December. Angelo, are you talking about pre-filters or sponges that are just sitting in the tank, like with an air pump? What do you mean by having? What kind of sponges are you talking about? Any other questions? Let's go ahead and add them now. And KG Cichlids, Lethrinops are doing well. That Malawi gar is getting quite sizable. I think that's a female, right? Is that, Kevin, is that Malawi gar a female? Gars are beautiful. Very odd-looking fish. Very strange-looking fish. That long snout. I think they use that snout, like the linny, they use that snout to get fry from between rocks that are hiding, right? They're like predators. They go after fry. And let's see here. Alphonse received my cichlids from the shack yesterday. Very stunning service and fish. Cornelia Gold. That's a beautiful fish. Skittles, another beautiful fish. And Protomelus Steveni Blue Gold. You got some amazing fish there, Alphonse. Very, very nice. Now, did you use the Shack Attack 10? Did you use that code and did you get 10% off? Let's see here. Winston Pratt uses Prime and Garlic Guard on all my food. I'll tell you, if you got a finicky eater, someone who's not eating, a little bit of that Garlic Guard. Also, I've recommended before the Omega Cichlid Cubes. They're infused with garlic. Fish can't resist them. If you have a finicky eater especially, that's a good way to get them to eat. Adam S. I have no idea, Adam, what that fish, I've never even heard of that fish. Ivanakara? Aduketa? Nope, no idea. I'm sorry, my friend, but you're going to have to Google that one. I have no idea what that is. And KG cichlids, if it's a male, they're spectacular when they get their color. If he really blossoms, if it turns out to be a male, it could be but if I remember correctly, I think it had a slightly rounded dorsal and anal fin, which is usually indicative of a female with African cichlids, as you very well know. So let's see here. What's a more aggressive tank? All haps or all peacocks? You know, Eric, we've talked about that before. And Eric is asking what's more aggressive. Believe it or not, I'm having more aggression with peacocks. My bicolor 500 right now, his tail is beat up. I don't know who got him. Either the Johnsoni, the Placidochromis johnsoni, or that the Phoenix. But my bicolor, his tail is in bad. Now I'm keeping a close eye on the tank. It's getting a little bit better now, but there's a jerk. There's another jerk in here in this tank. There's another jerk in there, and I'm not sure who it is. I think you see the two fish that are hanging around in the center. You have the Johnsoni, Placidochromis johnsoni. His fins look great. So usually the one that's the jerk has the best looking fins, right? Because no one's picking on them. And the Phoenix, possibly. You see the Phoenix coming out there. But he's got a little bit of fin damage. Somebody picked on him. So one of those two is beating up my bicolor 500. I might have to take the bicolor 500 out. I'm not sure where I'd put him. Maybe in with the odd couple. That small Jack Dempsey and the small Borlei. He probably could be okay in there. They wouldn't pick on him. And let his fins kind of grow back in. I had to take him out once before, way back when the Eureka Red was in there and all my fish were getting beat up. And he healed up. He healed up fine. And then but then I needed to, then I put him back in. And it's been okay up to about a week ago. I came down one morning and his tail had some very bad bites on it. So never a dull moment for us African cichlid keepers, as you very well know. I think if I had to bet, if I had to place a bet, I would say that a hap tank is going to be more peaceful. Once it seemed from my experience that once the haps, especially your bigger haps, you get your like your Venusis, right? Your hawk, your trout. It seemed like once they established the pecking order, and even the eye biter, once they established it, who the boss was, everybody was business as usual, and they would swim around, and it was fine. With the peacocks, it seems like there's always a battle, and it seems like there's always a certain number of fish that are hiding in the corners. So I'm not getting to enjoy them, swimming around because they're afraid to swim around. And you have a fish or two that are patrolling the center of the tank and really running the show and controlling things. And there's always a challenge. The OB Skittles is challenging. The Placidochromis is challenging. There's always somebody trying to, and whereas with the hap tank, it seemed like it would calm down for months at a time, months and months and months. And then, like in California, the eye biter made a run for it, went after the Venusis. The Venusis backed down for about a day or two, licked his wounds, recovered. And see, again, that kind of is indicative. The Venusis was able to recover. Whereas in a peacock tank, very often they'll keep hitting the same fish, I've noticed, over and over and over, and until that fish is exhausted, becomes ill, gets infected. Something happens, right? The wounds become infected. It's a very relentless type of attack. So if I had to bet, I would say that your hap tank ultimately is going to be especially if you get into a bigger size, 125 to 2 to 300, a combination of haps, Nimbochromis, maybe sand divers, you're going to end up ultimately with an initial battle that gets settled, hopefully with nobody being killed, and then a calm tank. I mean, the Venusas used to go and break up fights. Fish would start to get into it with each other, and he'd go in the middle and just sort of like, hey, you know, I'm the only one that can fight around here. Knock it off. And he'd break it up. And anyway, probably the best tank boss I've ever had. That big Venusas I had in California. Miss that big guy. Sold him to a great home. I think the person that bought him had a 300-gallon tank, so I'm sure he's happy. So, for those of you that came late, don't forget to sub and hit that bell. Be sure to tell YouTube that you're enjoying the content. And I want to thank our moderators. I think we had Kenny. We had Denny. Kevin and Denny got together and became Kenny. We have Kevin, Denny, and GP. Thank you so much for your help today, folks. We're going to get Candi back. Candi's going to come back after she's relocating. And, you know, when you're in the middle of a move, you know how that can be. So we're going to get Candi back eventually. And we do miss you, Candi. If you catch the replay, we do miss you quite a bit. And thank you to all of you who showed up. And thank you, Super Chatters. Your support of the channel is very, very, very appreciated. For those of you who would like to support the channel more, be sure to visit the store, the Amazon store. Use that link to get to Amazon. And also pick up some tees and sweatshirts and coffee mugs at my Teespring store. That also helps the channel quite a bit. And I believe the biggest super chat today has already been established. So be sure to send me your mailing address. I probably have it, but send it anyway to ben.o.cichlid, and I'll get you your towel and stickers, and anyone else who won today. And that's it for me. Thank you so much, everybody. You are the best. You are appreciated. And tune in tomorrow for for my video on, do you go cheap or do you go expensive? That's a question a lot of us ask. Do I go all sponges? Do I go get some Biohome? Do I go get some Matrix? Do I get some Marine Pure? Do I go with a Fluval or an Eheim? Do I pick up a SunSun canister? Go expensive, or do we go on the cheap? And you'll see my conclusions in tomorrow's video. I hope you can catch it. All right? So that's it for me, folks. Thank you. Take care. Hope to see you next Saturday. Bye-bye.